This video is going to be a little different than the content I typically create. Today I'm going to be doing a product review video. Specifically, I'm going to be reviewing a new home use elliptical made by Star Power. A few weeks ago, a representative from Star Power reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in reviewing their elliptical. And I said, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of using ellipticals for exercise, and considering my current weight loss challenge, this was perfect timing. But before I get into the review, I do have to mention that I did not personally pay for this elliptical. Star Power sent me this for free in order to complete my review. However, like everything I do on this channel, I intend to give my full, honest, and unbiased opinion. That said, let's start the review. As I mentioned, this elliptical is intended for home use, so that's how I'm going to be reviewing it. I'm going to go over the features, usability, packaging and assembly, support and warranty, pros and cons, and then my final recommendation and who I think this elliptical might be good for. The current list price for this elliptical is $459. However, I've been watching the price over the past few weeks, and there's usually a discount and/or coupon that can be applied, which means that you can most likely pick this up for substantially less than the list price. This elliptical is what is referred to as rear drive, which means that the flywheel is located in the rear or behind the user. There are also front drive and center drive ellipticals, although I have never personally used a center drive elliptical. I'm not going to get into the differences between the various elliptical types, but if you're interested in learning more, I'll include a link in the description which goes into this in more detail. The bottom line for me when looking at the pros and cons of each type is that I prefer a rear drive elliptical over the other two types. The Star Power elliptical base measures 41.3 inches long by 21.3 inches wide, and the tallest part reaches 65 inches in height. The upper part of the elliptical, where the computer console is located, extends almost another 12 inches beyond the front base supports, and the handles, when in use, move back and forth another 3 inches past the console. So you may want to keep this in mind if you're planning to use this in a confined area. The elliptical itself weighs about 100 pounds. There are adjustable height legs on the rear supports and a pair of small wheels on the front supports, which allow it to be easily moved over hard surfaces. It has a 16-pound flywheel and also 16 levels of magnetic resistance adjustment. The footrests measure 13.2 inches long by 4.5 inches wide and have a nicely textured surface to help prevent your foot from slipping while in use. The footrests can be easily adjusted forward or backward to any of 3 positions and will support users up to 330 pounds. Just below the resistance adjustment knob, you'll find a water bottle holder, and just above it, you'll find the computer console and heart rate hand grips. The console itself is powered by 2 AAA batteries and can be set to display elapsed time, current speed, workout distance, calories burned, total elliptical odometer, current pulse rate, or current RPMs. There's also a scan feature which will continuously cycle through all settings, pausing for 4 seconds on each. Time, distance, or calories can be set for each workout, and the console will then display this in a countdown fashion as the workout progresses. Also, a maximum workout pulse can be set, which will alert the user with a series of beeps if the maximum heart rate is exceeded. And finally, the elliptical has 2 nicely cushioned upper handlebars. Probably the most important aspect of any elliptical is how it feels when you're using it. And one aspect, referred to as stride length, is most often referenced when it comes to the feel of an elliptical. The stride length is the distance between the footrests when they are at their farthest apart from each other. The Star Power elliptical has what is considered a pretty short stride length at 12 inches. However, what I've found to be true is that there are several other aspects that play an equally important role in an elliptical's usability. The The first of these is actually the flywheel size, or specifically the flywheel diameter. Many manufacturers will simply increase the diameter of the flywheel, which you can see will result in a greater distance between the footrests, and hence a larger stride length number. However, increasing the flywheel diameter also then increases the distance traveled by the feet in the up and down direction as well. It's very common to see reviews of ellipticals with larger flywheels stating that the feel is more like a stair climber than an elliptical. The Star Power elliptical with a smaller up-down travel of your feet does not exhibit this stair climber feel. Increasing the flywheel diameter also places the foot at a steeper forward-leaning position at the top. This can make the user feel like they are leaning or falling forward with the need to constantly support yourself. The Star Power elliptical has a nice level feel while using it. The other aspect that influences an elliptical's feel is the distance the user is from the console and the hand grips. Taller users have longer arms than shorter users, and to get a proper feel when using the elliptical, they would naturally want to be further back, and vice versa for shorter users. To allow for this, the Star Power elliptical has 3 position adjustment footrests. Taller users may prefer the farthest back position, allowing more room between the user and the handles. Shorter users will probably prefer the farthest forward position. I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall, and the center position feels the best for me. The footrest position can be adjusted quickly and without the use of any tools, making this a great feature if you have multiple users in the house. And while on the topic of the footrests, they easily accommodate my size 9 shoe and will accommodate users with much larger shoes than mine. So while the stride length on this elliptical is pretty short and it may give a cramped feel to taller users, it's the other factors that I mentioned that play an equally important role in the feel and usability of an elliptical. Much more expensive machines like those found in commercial gyms and usually costing several $1,000s will use a combination of connecting arms to create a more elliptical feel. But again, those usually cost several $1,000s and would not be considered home use. As mentioned previously, the rear supports can be adjusted in height, which has helped to stabilize the elliptical on my not so even basement floor. The front supports have small wheels built in for moving the elliptical, and I found it very easy to move over hard surfaces. It was more difficult to move over foam padding, and while I didn't actually try this, I believe the wheels are too small to allow it to be moved easily over thick carpeting. The bottle holder works great and holds my trusty Camelback bottles perfectly. In fact, I think this bottle holder works better than the ones currently on my bikes. The bottles fit really snug. And just because I'm kind of a bike nerd, I wanted to see if I could put a different bottle holder on the elliptical. Unfortunately, the holes didn't exactly line up, even though they appear to use the same bolt. But that's nothing I'm going to hold against the elliptical, and if I really wanted to, I'm sure I could drill bigger holes in a different bottle holder and make it fit. The resistance adjustment knob may actually be my favorite part of this elliptical. Some ellipticals don't have a manual adjustment knob to control the tension. They adjust the tension through the console. I much prefer a manual knob, and even better, I'm happy to report that the knob provides a very satisfying click at each resistance setting. I currently own a rowing machine and a stationary bike, both with manual adjustment knobs, but my biggest gripe with them is that they don't click into place at each resistance level. I was very happy to see this on the Star Power. And while I'm at it, this elliptical is quiet. I see reviews on other ellipticals complaining about how noisy they are. Not this one. This thing is super quiet, even on the highest resistance setting. I mean, my workout breathing is 10 times louder than the elliptical, so big thumbs up on that. And the range of the resistance settings is really good as well. You can tell the difference between a 15-minute workout on level 8 than level 1. And the fact that it goes all the way up to 16 gives you a lot of room for growth. Moving on to the console. The console itself is pretty basic. It doesn't provide a ton of features, but it is pretty easy to use. As mentioned, it has a nice workout countdown feature that can be used with time, distance, or calories. It does not, however, allow you to enter any specifics for individual users, such as height, weight, age, etc. This information would be needed in order to accurately count the number of calories burned during a workout, so I'm not sure exactly how the calorie count number is being determined. I'm guessing it's just an average, but since it has quick adjust footrests allowing for multiple users in the same house, adjusting for individual and more accurate calorie counting for each user is an unfortunate exclusion. Now, the pulse alarm, on the other hand, is a very fortunate inclusion. The ability to set an alarm for a maximum heart rate helps to prevent me from going over the optimal fat burning zone. And since I'm currently trying to lose weight, that's an awesome feature to have. The pulse reading from the handle seems pretty accurate when compared against my Fitbit. One feature that I wish it had was the ability to automatically display your pulse when gripping the handles. If you're in scan mode, it will eventually come around to the pulse display. Or you can manually switch to the pulse display and then grip the handles to see your pulse. But it would have been nice to be able to get an instant pulse reading. And what is a little strange is that the pulse alarm can be triggered when you're not on the pulse display. So the elliptical does recognize and read your pulse at any time. It just doesn't switch to the pulse display automatically. But I can live with that. I'm currently using the elliptical in my basement gym, which has recessed LED overhead lighting. Depending on where I place the elliptical, it can sometimes be difficult to read which setting the console is currently displaying when in scan mode, or even which setting it's on when switching manually. The number readouts for each mode are quite large and easy to read. It's just the smaller text indicating the current mode setting that's difficult to read. I'll admit this could possibly be due to my aging eyes or even the specific lighting in my basement. However, I have seen other ellipticals that use more colorful and contrasty displays, or even have larger displays that can show everything on the screen at once. This elliptical also does not have any pre-programmed workouts to follow. And even if it did, since it has a manual adjustment knob for resistance, it can't automatically adjust the tension during a workout. The ability for the elliptical to automatically adjust the tension would not typically be found on an elliptical at this price point, but I wanted to mention this just in case it's a feature that you're looking for. The console includes a place to rest a cell phone, a small tablet, or even a small book, but I wouldn't use this to hold anything much larger during a workout, such as a laptop. The elliptical workout handles feel very nice and have a nice soft quality feel to them. I would not hesitate at all to use this elliptical for long workouts. The handles have a subtle bend in them, which does allow you to slightly adjust your hand grip position. However, I would prefer to have handles with more hand grip positions, as I tend to work out for extended periods of time and I get bored with my hands in the same position. And the final point on usability is related to where you plan on using the elliptical. I'm currently using it in the basement of our 150-year-old farmhouse. Our basement ceiling height is just under 78 inches, so I was worried that I may not be able to use it there without banging my head on the ceiling. I can thankfully report that my 5-foot 8-inch frame safely clears the ceiling when using the elliptical. This, however, was not the case with an older elliptical we used to own, so I feel as though the Star Power elliptical maintains a nice, low, usable profile. The elliptical comes very well packaged and actually took me a good 15 minutes to get everything out of the box. Parts are well labeled, and the assembly user's manual is more like a book than just a couple of pages stapled together, which I thought was a nice quality touch. The directions are relatively clear for the most part, and the assembly took me a total of about 2 hours. However, I'm pretty sure it should only take about an hour and a half or even less to assemble. I spent about a half an hour trying to get the pedal bars and handlebars to fit together. It wasn't until I went back and loosened the main post bolts that I was able to get them to fit. Product support is great. During the initial assembly, I installed one of the covers incorrectly, and it broke off during one of my first workouts. The Star Power representative was quick to reply to my request and had a replacement part in the mail the next day. The warranty on the elliptical, which I did confirm with Star Power, is 90 days free product return or replacement and lifetime warranty on replacement parts. Kind of hard to ask for anything more than that. First, let's review the pros. This elliptical is very stable thanks to the adjustable height supports. It's easy to move over hard surfaces with the built-in wheels. The adjustable foot rests allow the elliptical to accommodate multiple users within the same household. The elliptical does not feel like a stair climber, nor does it have that awkward forward-leaning feeling while using it. It has a very nice clickable resistance knob. It's super quiet in use, has a nice snug bottle holder, includes a very useful pulse alarm, and has a nice low usable profile. Now the cons. Probably the biggest con is the small stride length, which may be too small for taller users. The console can be difficult to read at times, and there are no user-specific workout settings. And it has limited hand grip positions. Overall, I think this is a fantastic elliptical. The main issue that I have with it is the console. It works and it performs like it should. However, it's pretty basic, and I don't feel that the quality of the console matches the $459 list price. Also, taller users may find the stride length to be too small, especially those who are used to using larger and more expensive commercial gym ellipticals. But in the end, the pros easily outweigh the cons in my opinion, especially if you can get it at a discount. So if you're in the market for a well-made home use elliptical, I highly recommend Star Power. I personally plan to use this elliptical as one of my main forms of cardio during my current weight loss. If you have any other questions about the Star Power elliptical, please feel free to leave your comment. And let me know how you like this content. Is this something I should do more of in the future? Let me know. Thanks for watching.